So I get really excited about robots, like really excited, in a dorky way. And the reason is that they're incredible. They can do all kinds of things that no human has ever done, like explore Mars. So what you're looking at here, this is the Mars rover. He's my favorite because he's about my height. And robots can sense their environments, they can make decisions about what they want to do, and then they can actually act on those decisions and move around. And so our Mars rover over here was designed and built by hundreds of scientists down the block, I'd like to say, at JPL. But if the Mars rover gets stuck in a sand pit, at the technology that we're at today, it could take weeks for hundreds of scientists to help guide him out. Now, it turns out that nature is actually really good at handling unanticipated challenges. So this ant can not only find his way out of a sand trap, but he can also turn that trap into a nest. Now, this ant has 1 million cells, and in those cells are millions of proteins that do all kinds of amazing things, some of which we've seen today. So this is myosin. It's one of the motor proteins in the cell. It actually is the one that helps us contract our muscles when we move around. And it can actually walk on tracks inside of a cell. So this protein bears a striking resemblance to the robot that we're looking at because it can actually make decisions and walk around based on instructions in its environment. And so the question I'd like to ask you is, can a molecule be a robot? So what do you guys think? Yes, good answer. I like that. OK, so clearly, proteins can do all kinds of complicated things. But as an engineer, it's really hard to work with proteins to get them to do what we want. And DNA is actually something that is really easy to work with. So DNA, as we saw earlier, basically, molecules of DNA interact with each other by sticking together or coming apart. And while that seems really simple, we can do very complex things with it. So for example, we can make any shape or structure that we want, including happy faces. Yeah, it's awesome. So DNA can also be used to sense other molecules in solution. It can be used to make motors, mechanical motors that actually open and close like these tweezers. And it can also be used to build logic gates, which are the building blocks of our computers. So it looks like we have everything here that we need to build a molecular robot. And that is exactly what my colleagues and I at ASU, University of Michigan, Columbia, and here at Caltech did. So this is our nanobot. It's, as you can see, it has 3 legs and a tether. And it walks around on what we can think of as a nanoscale lawn of strands of DNA grass. So each of the legs of this robot is a piece of DNA that can grab hold of one of these blades of grass. And once the robot is on the lawn, it can actually cut that blade of grass. It'll then jiggle around for a little bit until it finds a neighboring piece of grass that it can stick to. So I like to think of it as a lawnmower that's propelled forward by uncut grass, except really, really, really small. So how do we control this thing? Well, we use a self-assembly technique called DNA origami that allows us to fold up molecules into any position we like. And we can put whatever instruction rules we want anywhere on this lawn, which is kind of dark and hard to see, but that's OK. So all you need to know is that those dots correspond to those grass strands that we were looking at a second ago that are on the right side of the screen, or my right side of the screen. So we can program the robot to stop, start, and move forward. And what that looks like is moving forward is basically the regular grass that the lawnmower can cut. Stopping is grass strands that the robot can't cut. And so when it gets there, it gets stuck. Now, the start signal is just a patch of grass that we can tether a robot to until we let him go. OK. And what you're looking at now is video footage of our robot walking. I know these images are kind of hard to interpret. If it makes you feel better, it took me a few months to learn how to interpret them also. So these are, the bottom row are atomic force microscope images. Because our nanobot is so small, we actually can't see it with light. We can't see it with the naked eye. It's about 100 times smaller than what we can perceive with our eyes. And so the atomic force microscope just gives us a map of what the surface feels like. And the brighter the object, that means that it's farther away from the surface. So the rectangles that you're looking at are our nanoscale lawns. And the one I want you to focus on is outlined in white. There's a curved stripe on that lawn, and that is the track that our little robot's walking on. And the bright white spot on top of that is our robot. And you can see that in each frame, he moves forward. We can follow the schematics above. So our nanobot can move about 100 nanometers in 30 minutes. And you know, we've shown that we can control one molecule by guiding it along a surface. But really, this is only the beginning of what is possible. I mean, one day, there is going to be a whole class of molecules that are better at following our instructions than DNA is. And, you know, imagine what that might mean. If we can build whole fleets of these, we can put a team of heart surgeons into a pill, just like Feynman talked about. If our computers were made out of these, then they could rewire themselves, you know? And actually, Drew Barry's comment earlier today about biology having all of these amazing sort of, it's like a living fabric. Imagine if the whole world was made out of materials that were living, that was a living fabric. That would mean that one day, we're going to be in a world that's made of devices where the materials that make those devices are no longer static, but are actually responding to their environments and to us, their users. Thank you.